Hey everyone! Most parks will have some form of Ferris wheel. Not all parks, but most parks actually do. And yeah, in Roller Coaster Tycoon, the only Ferris wheel you can place is this, tiny one. It's not really big or impressive, and most people will want something more impressive in the park, especially if your park is this big. This Ferris wheel over here is tiny, so that's why most people in my contest at least will build their own custom version of a Ferris wheel. Now you can build them really big or medium sized. I will build a medium sized Ferris wheel in this tutorial. Now before I do any building, let's go first name a few more handymen after people who commented on my last tutorial video. Alright, here you can see the new additions to the handyman squad. If you also want to be a handyman in my park, just leave a fun or interesting comment on this video and you may get picked out to sweep vomit in my park. Now when you're building a Ferris wheel, you'll probably want to think a bit about its location. When you build a Ferris wheel, you'll want guests to be able to see the Ferris wheel facing the big circular track over here. So from this way the Ferris wheel will look pretty impressive. But if you place it like this, from the path guests won't really have a nice view of the Ferris wheel. Anyway, I will start building a medium-sized track here. Now we will not actually need a station for this part. I will just start building a twisted track. We'll start with some straight track here. And I think over here will be a nice location for it. And I'm going to build it slightly off the ground. And then we're just going to go up like so. And going to go even more steeper. We're going to go vertical. And we're going to place one vertical track piece here. And on the back we're going to do the same. And then over here I'm going to rotate the track and then build another vertical track piece. And I will delete these two twisting track pieces. Now then I right click this track piece so we can continue building here. Make sure clearance checks are disabled. And then we're going to build backwards until these tracks here overlap. And then I'm going to delete these vertical track pieces here again, except the overlapping piece. And then I'm going back to horizontal. Here we build another horizontal track piece and we're gonna go down again. And over here the vertical track pieces overlap again. Okay, now we're gonna go into the tile inspector. We're gonna hold control, select this track piece over here. So the ride starts here, the vehicles head in this direction. We'll want it to switch track here from this track here on the bottom to the top track. So we'll select this track piece over here and we're going to move it under the other track pieces. And that will make vehicles switch from this bottom track to this track. And over here we want the opposite thing to happen. We want the vehicles to switch from the top track to this track. So we'll select this track piece, hold control, click it. Now it appears it's already below the other vertical track piece. So I think it should already be good. Alright, this circular track won't do anything of itself yet. We'll still have to make it functional. So for that I'm going to make a second ride. Now for this I like to use Wild Mouse track, but you can use any track. The reason I choose Wild Mouse track is usually because it will make it easier for me to make tight turns and steep drops, etc. And makes it easier to connect tracks to each other. Now over here I will build a station. I'm going to build it right into the other track here. And this is also where the eventual ride station will be. Then over here I'm going to make a sharp 180-degree turn. And here I'm going to follow the curvature of this track. I'm going to go up Gonna go up steeply here. Here I'm going back to horizontal. Gonna do a 180-degree turn. Here we're gonna go down again steeply. And here we're gonna put a transition to a less steep track. And now our tracks here are merged because we used the same track pieces on this tile. Then I'm going to use Tile Inspector. I'm going to select this, hold Control, select this track piece, and I'm just gonna make sure it's below this steel wild mouse track piece. And looks like the Twister roller coaster track here is below the steel wild mouse track piece. So the tracks here are merged, and vehicles from the steel wild mouse track will move on to this white track over here. Now, just to be sure, I'm also going to place a little bit of chain lift over here, because I want the vehicles to make it onto this lift hill, or onto this track here. So you can just, in the Tile Inspector, select a track piece and then press chain lift. So now it has chain lift. Okay, in order to spawn the vehicles, we'll need to have some space behind this track to actually spawn the vehicles. You could bunch them all up here, but then you would have to space all the vehicles out later with a ride editor plugin, and I don't really want to do that. So over here I'm just going to make some straight track to spawn the vehicles. Now the reason I'm just making straight track here is so all the vehicles are spaced out evenly on the track. If you make curves, they will be spaced out differently throughout the track. Now I think this should be enough. I hope it is. And now, before I'm gonna make a control track, I first want to know how many of these vehicles can actually fit on this track. Now, I totally forgot the number, so I'm just going to check. So, the vehicles that I like to use for this are river rafts. So I'm gonna go into cheats, and I'm going to show vehicles from other track types and disable vehicle limits. Okay, then we select the rafts, and we'll have one car, or actually one train. And yeah, I'm just going to try a number and see if it works. Okay, and then when we try to open the ride, we cannot do that. Well, first we need an entrance and an exit. I've set them to invisible, by the way. So here's the entrance and exit. Now they're kind of in the way, so I'm just going to make them invisible again. But it was just to show you that we have them. Now we cannot test the ride net yet because the track is not a complete circuit. So over here I'm going to show all operating modes and unlock operating limits. And then we're gonna put this steel wild mouse into powered launch mode. And I'm just going to set a slow launch speed. And let's watch this ride in action. Now I think I actually made this track behind the station too short, since not all the vehicles were able to spawn on it. I'm just going to make it a little bit longer. The train may be too long, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, just going to try it again. Now I'm going to speed this part up a bit. I just want to see if we have enough vehicles here. It looks like we have quite a few vehicles, too many. So there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, I quite overestimated the number of vehicles that we would need here. I'm just going to try again a few times until I get to a situation where the ride gets stuck. Alright, I think this is the perfect amount. As you can see, the whole track is filled now with vehicles, and we have one raft too many. If we would let this ride continue, it would get stuck here, since the front vehicle and last vehicle of a ride have collision with each other. Yeah, this will be the perfect amount, because we'll want to have one vehicle on an underground track, which will dictate the speed and ride duration for the Ferris wheel. So I'm going to stick with 23 cars for this train. If you make your track bigger, then you may need more vehicles. Or if you manage to make it smaller, you may be able to use less vehicles. But for this size, 23 cars is definitely the way to go. Alright, now I'm going to build an underground track here. So I'm gonna remove this little curve here, and I'm going to make a track that goes underground. So I just made a few track pieces leading underground. You may not have this much space below your park. Doesn't have to be this far underground. Just do, just go underground with the amount of space that you have. Now, so I just went underground here. Here I made a 180-degree turn, and then I'm gonna go underground some more until I'm right next to the original station. As you can see where I'm building here, I'm right next to the station here. So over here, underground, I'm just going to make a straight track piece. By the way, if you press H, then the ground disappears, which might be helpful. Okay, then I'm gonna build another track, which will be our control track. Now for this I'm just going to use the wooden wild mouse, just because it's different from the steel wild mouse, and will make it easier to see what I'm doing. So over here, right under the original station, I'm going to build a station here. If you want to make sure you're building at the correct height, you can also press 9 to enable height markers. So we're now building a station here at height 4.5. Now we're gonna need another cheat here. We're gonna use the cheat to allow chain lifts on all track pieces. And we're gonna make a 180-degree turn here with chain lift enabled. And over here we're gonna build over the original track. Now, before I continue building, over here where the track pieces are below there, the track pieces are overlapping here, so that's on this tile. I'm gonna switch their order, so I want the wooden wild mouse to be below the steel wild mouse. If we don't do that, the vehicle will fly off the track here. So the wooden wild mouse is now below the steel wild mouse, so the vehicles, when they arrive over here, they will switch from the steel wild mouse track to the wooden wild mouse track. Alright, and now with chain lift still enabled, I'm just going to make a track here that meanders back and forth. And the length of this track will set the ride time duration. Okay, these Ferris wheels are pretty slow, so this ride, for a vehicle to complete this track will take a considerable amount of time. Now for this station here, we won't need an entrance or an exit. Alright, next up I'm going to complete this track again, so I'm going to build this 90-degree turn again, and then we can start spawning these vehicles. So I'm just going to put the ride test mode to close it immediately. Now I'm going to open up the tile inspector. I'm going to hold control, select this track piece here, and I'm going to put the ride in test mode, which will make these vehicles travel forward. Now they will start going down on this track over here, but as soon as the first vehicle is moving downward, I'm going to pause the game and I'm going to switch the order of these two track pieces, which will make the rest of the train follow this other track instead. So I'm already going to select this track piece. Right, I'm going to test the ride. Okay, I've paused the game. You can see this vehicle is already moving downwards a bit. And I'm going to move this track piece below the track piece that moves down. I believe it's this one. Yeah, correct. So now the rest of the vehicles will follow this turn instead. Alright, and now I will just fast forward the game. I will actually close the ride and then fast forward the game, and then wait until all these vehicles are on the track. Alright, all these vehicles are on this track now, and they will continue going around until this vehicle reaches the station again, and then the ride should stop. Now it could be that the ride does not calculate its stats. If that happens, yeah, I've set the track so that the vehicles will follow this branch of the track here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these track pieces, move it down a bit, and the stat calculation function, you should also see it as a train of its own, and it will start at the back end of the ride. It will move throughout the track, and then if it arrived here, it would get stuck in this infinite loop. So that's why it would never calculate its stats. By lowering this track piece over here, if we then test the ride again, the track or the stat calculation function will reach the end of the track here, and it will stop calculating, and then you would get stats. So as long as you make sure that the stat calculation function doesn't get stuck in an infinite loop, the ride should be able to calculate its stats in most situations. So if we put the ride in test mode again, the stats now immediately show up. Alright, well, we definitely want the guests to be able to ride this. So I'm quickly going to make a queue and an exit path right next to this ride. Right, you can make the queue for these kind of rides pretty long, since the capacity of a Ferris wheel like this is huge. Now, this bottom track, we can make it invisible. An easy way to do that is to use the cheat to allow arbitrary ride type changes, and just change the ride to a lift. And for this circular track, we're going to do the same. Now, I've changed my mind actually. I'm just going to leave this circular track here for just a little bit longer, and that will allow us to make a nice support structure for the Ferris wheel. We can open the ride now, by the way. Okay, for the support structure of this Ferris wheel, what I like to do is use some dinghy slide track here in the middle. Now, if you're not sure if you're in the middle, you can hold control, hover over this track piece here, and that should put you approximately in the middle. You can always hold control, select this track piece and move it up or down a bit if you're unsure. Now, then we'll want to make some spokes for the Ferris wheel. Now, I like to use a junior coaster track for that. I quite like the way this works as spokes for the wheel, but you can use other tracks as well if you prefer other tracks. Now I'm just going to make a horizontal support here. Might look nicer if we move it up a little bit. Alright, then I'm going to make some sloped track. Now if you get the message invalid height, just go to cheats and enable this cheat, allow building track at invalid heights. It's always a good idea to disable this cheat again when you're no longer using it, because you can end up building a ride at a height where you cannot connect a path to it, which can be quite annoying. Alright, just going to build some slope track, and I'm going to keep building it like so. And over here I'm going to select this track piece, I'm going to copy it, paste it, rotate it, and then try to select it. And then we can continue building the track. I'm going to temporarily remove this track piece here in the middle. And then I'm going to use another cheat. We're almost using all of them. Enable all drawable track pieces. And that will allow us to go steep with the junior coaster track. Just going to delete this track piece here in the middle. And I'm going to continue building it like so. Now, this track here sticks through these vehicles a bit, so we're going to move it up a bit. And that will also make it connect here at the top in a nicer way. So just going to move it up a bit. Then I'm gonna select this track piece, copy it. I pasted it a few times too many. Whoops. Okay, then I'm gonna rotate it. And we're gonna build another track like so. Now it will often get a little bit glitchy with this dinghy slide track here in the middle. If it's too glitchy, you can also, too glitchy for your taste, you can also remove it. Well, it may be a little bit annoying sometimes. You could also try to change it for something that takes a little bit less space. Oops, and monorail track doesn't show. So, for example, if you don't like how this looks, you could, for example, use monorail track. Looks a little bit different. But yeah, you should just try to find something which you like. I usually use an enclosed dinghy slide track here. Okay, and you can also make a vertical spoke here, but for that you cannot use the junior coaster track. So for that, I like to use limb-launched coaster track or looping roller coaster track. So I'm just going to want to have some vertical track here. So I'm just going to make a transition here. Just going to remove these track pieces here. And then I'm just going to build downwards like so. So now here we have another track. Now I'm just going to make this ride invisible again. And I'm going to recolor these spokes. Okay, these spokes now have all been recolored. I gave the support some bright colors just so it's easier to see them. And we're gonna definitely hide these. So I'm just gonna hold Control, select as support, and I'm just going to move it under surface like so. I'm gonna do that for all these supports. Never do this if these track pieces are above water though, because then the track pieces will become really glitchy for some people. Alright, now that the spokes have been made, I'm now going to make some supports for the Ferris wheel. Now I always liked to use inverted impulse coaster track, but I think today I'm gonna go with single rail coaster track. You'll just have to find something which you think looks nice. Now I'm just going to disable the cheat to enable all drawable track pieces again. That lets me build these smaller horizontal to steep transitions. And I'm just going to make some track here, which looks like it would connect here. Now we can move it up a little bit here. And I'm just gonna continue it, building it into the ground, like so. Now, if you want these supports to look a little bit beefier, you can copy and paste them, like so. And I'm just going to build another one of these into the ground. Alright, I'm going to do this on all these 4 sides. Okay, something which I also usually do is add some more track here to make it look like there's some catwalk here. Or an engine. So for that, typically use multi-dimension coaster track and enable chain lift. And then just put a track piece like here. And we're going to do the same on the other side here. And I think that usually looks pretty cool. And to finish it off, I often go to the Six Flags set and just gonna put one of these signs here on the end. Now the sign pokes through these track pieces a bit, so I'm just gonna select the sign, move it to the top here, and that makes it less disruptive. Alright, I think this is usually a pretty nice way to do a Ferris wheel. Now, obviously these spokes are not going to rotate with the Ferris wheel, so you'll have to just use your imagination there. But at least these vehicles rotate around, and the Ferris wheel, because of this, also has a really nice large capacity. Now, I'm just going to continue making a little platform under here. You can do this however you want. I'm just going to make the entrance and exit invisible, and yeah, you'll just have to create the platform in a way that you think looks nice. I usually just put a few base blocks under here with a little fence around it, and for me that's usually enough. Now, we should probably also still hide these supports here, so I'm just gonna move them under surface. Now I've set hotkeys for moving objects down in this list. If you also want to set hotkeys, which I can recommend, not really sure where you can find them. Over here under the cogwheel icons. Here you can see shortcut keys, and there you can set hotkeys for stuff you do in the tile inspector. So yeah, I have set the hotkey to Control and D. So with Control I just select this track piece, I keep holding Control, and then I press D a few times, and the track piece is at the bottom of the list under surface. It can save you a lot of time if you have to do move a lot of objects with the tile inspector. Okay, if you want, you could also add an operator hut here. Now I like to use the cookie shop for that, but you can use other shops if you want, where you can make your own little building. But I think an operator hut here fits pretty nicely. I'm just gonna close the shop, and I'm just gonna call it operator hut. Alright, here you can see the end result. I did some more decorating around the ride. Just put some plants, so some lamps on the queue, some fences around it. Now, and the ride holds 92 people, so you can afford to make the queue pretty long. Yeah, these rides definitely have a good throughput. So yeah, another reason to build a nice Ferris wheel in your park. Alright, we've reached that point at the end of a video where we're going to put another one of my patrons in the park as an entertainer. Alright. Well, thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon, it's really appreciated. And you're now hanging from this Ferris wheel as a monkey. Hope you enjoy your spot in the park. The support is really appreciated. And if you're watching this video and you would also like to support my channel on Patreon and also get a spot in the park as an entertainer, you can find the link to my Patreon channel in the video description. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked this tutorial, please give the video a like, it would really help out my channel. I would love to hear in the comments what you think of this video. And if you want to see more videos like these, you can always subscribe to my channel. Alright, that's going to be it. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.